I like having these talks, even though they're probably not the most viewed on our channel. We see our analytics.
Y'all need to be watching.
These are the ones that y'all need to be listening to.
In a year, they made $35 million off of fees.
$35 million.
$35 million.
That's just the fees. That's it.
Just off of fees because it's
our community.
Because that's what's been pushed on us. That's all that we know.
You become the bank. So you think how the bank think. You become the bank. And that changed my mindset when it came to actually investing. So take that.
Let's go!
So we did the episode on saving or investing, and of course both are pivotal to financial freedom. But let's talk about investing. So what are some tips that you can give on investing? Like what are some ways, because I've looked into investing, but I've started in a few places, I dibbled and dabbled, but I don't really know as much as I want to know to feel comfortable with investing. So what are some tips that you can give us on investing?
Yeah, so absolutely. So the number one tip, you want to know how your money is working for you, right?
Right.
So the number one tip and the first thing that I learned is called the Rule of 72. And if you haven't heard of the Rule of 72, it's also called the banker rule. And basically what you do is you take whatever interest rate that you're getting, whether it's in a savings account, a CD, or an average rate of return on a stock or bond or whatever, you take that number, divide it into 72, and that'll tell you how long it takes for your money to double. So it's basically a way to figure out how is your money compounding. How long will it take for your money to get to like if you invest $10,000, how long will it take me to get to $20,000?
4, 3, 2, yeah, go and chill, yeah. I think I'm watching this video, man. You ain't subscribed yet? Man, you got about 5 more seconds to go and subscribe. I'm finna finish up with this person right here, man. Hey, subscribe to this channel, man. We got work to do. All right, let's get back to it.
So it's about learning how to have that money start working for you and everything. And that was one of the first rules when I started really dabbling into investing.
Yeah.
That I learned, and the crazy part, I learned it from a company outside of when I was working at the bank.
Where'd you learn from?
So it's I'm not gonna say the name of the company, but a mentor of mine came through, and that's actually how I came under his mentorship.
Yeah.
But he came down and he shared some of the information with me, and he told me about that rule.
Right.
And so when he told me about that rule, I did some research and I learned about it, and I was like, hold up a second. Okay, all right. Because now what you do is when you see that it takes, let's say you getting a rate of return of like 3%.
Yeah.
3 goes into 72, 24 times? So what it takes, that means every 24 years, your money is doubling. So when you think about it, it's like, all right, that's at 3%.
Yeah.
In a savings account, you at 0.01%.
Exactly.
My money ain't never gonna double in my lifetime.
I don't care about them safety. Why do you care about savings accounts so much?
Because
it's our community.
Because that's what's been pushed on us. That's all that we know.
I heard about a high yield saving account.
That's different. I remember that one.
Yeah.
I just heard about it. I don't know how to get into it or nothing. I heard it because I was listening to it's a podcast. A young lady has a podcast. Maybe we'll include it in the link. Maybe.
Oh, there you go.
But she speaks highly about the high yield saving.
Okay.
And I haven't really tapped into it, but I mean, the way she talks about it is like, well, it's a savings account that's going to give you a higher rate of return.
Yeah, it's better than a normal savings account.
Right.
It's better than normal, so you might get like 1%.
Yeah.
Maybe 2. I think the highest I might have heard about is like 2% on like a high yield savings. I don't think you're going to get more than that. You probably get about the rate that you get for like a CD,
right?
Maybe on a high yield savings, but the thing with the high yield savings is usually you got to maintain a certain balance on it, or else either one, you won't qualify for it, or two, you won't. You'll start incurring fees,
Right.
monthly service fees.
I think there's a penalty to withdraw from it too.
Okay.
It depends on how it's set up. So,
I want to get into the mindset too. I had a question about a few things. When you first said it, you worked for the banking, and the thing that really stretched out to me, well, I don't know yet. Did you make it a point to go find a mentor, or find whoever it is to find that information, or did it come to you?
my mom,
Your
out
mom?
of all people, my mom got my mentor to me.
Shout out to the mothers.
Yeah, exactly.
It should be Mother's Day around the time this episode drops.
Yeah, exactly.
It should be.
So with that being said, my mom, and I take my mom word like very seriously, because my mom don't play. Like, my mom is like real thorough, and she do her research and everything. So the fact that she introduced this guy to me, I'm like, oh, he must be legit. So I came in there like, yo, man, what you gotta tell me? Like, yo, for real.
Okay.
And so he broke everything down, and when he told me about like that rule of 72, and also just a little quick insert, the reason why, I think it's funny how the banks charge 0.01% on savings accounts, nothing on checking accounts unless it's like an interest-bearing checking account. But then, I don't know if y'all ever noticed, when you go to the bank and you deposit your money, it gotta wait a day before your money clear or whatever.
Yeah.
What they doing is they are investing that money overnight before they even let you touch it to get to your account.
That's crazy.
So it's called the Fed fund rate. And so basically what they're doing is, when people deposit money into their account, they put a hold on it or whatever for like a day, and they say it gotta clear. And then while that money is clearing, they taking that money and they invested it into other banks, and they might get 6, 8, 10% on that money, while they only give you 0.01% of that money. You know what I'm saying? So, and then what they do is, the next day, after they got their 6, 8%, they give you your money plus your 0.01%. You know what I'm saying?
So the myth, or people may think that because you had to go find this kind of information outside of your place of employment, which was a bank. So it's safe to say that banks are in the business to make money, not give you advantages or give you routes to make more money.
Absolutely.
They're in the business of making themselves rich, not you rich.
Absolutely.
Yes, man.
Okay,
I'm not gonna say the bank I worked at, but the bank that I worked at, in a year they made $35 million off of fees.
$35 million.
$35 million.
That's just the
off
fees.
of fees.
That's it.
Just off of fees, not even including the interest, the 20, 24, 25%. They getting off of credit cards, man.
So they in the business, of course, making money. They in the business trying to make you money.
Heck no. And that's why it's important that you learn how to invest your money, so you learn how to start making money for yourself and how your money works. So that's why that rule of 72 for me was so important, and that's why I share that with a lot of people, because now you know, okay, if I'm an aggressive investor, or I need my money to work more for me, I need to find a vehicle that I can get 6, 8, 12% or more, so my money could double faster, instead of being in that 1, 2, 3 range, where it's going to take longer for my money to start doubling.
That's
so then that kind of carried me over into my next thing, is figuring out what's your investment strategy, or like what you could tolerate as far as investing. Because not everybody is an aggressive investor.
Right.
Not everybody. Now you might get 12%, but you might got to go through those highs and lows in order to get that average of 12% rate of return. Whereas if you go get like a bond or something, you got a guaranteed 3% that's coming to you.
That makes sense.
You know, semi-annually, or however it's paid out with the dividends, things like that. So figuring out like what's your investment strategy, because if you're an aggressive person, and then somebody trying to talk to you about putting you in a high yield savings account as a way to build your money, you can sit there and be like, yo, like, because you might think, 1-2% is good, because you think about the savings account at the bank, and be like, oh, 0.1 compared to 2%. Oh, this is great. You know what I'm saying? Because you comparing it to the bank, but you're not going out here and seeing that, yo, I could go and invest in, you know, a mutual fund or an ETF or whatever, and get an average rate of return of about 8%.
Okay.
But you might have to go through some little highs and lows, but on average, it's averaging a rate of about 8%. And by the way, I want to make sure I should have disclosed this at the beginning. This is not financial advice. I gotta make sure I say it. Not everybody read that.
I put it in disclaimer so you might as well read it.
Yeah, it's not in financial advice, and
So-
I'm not going to discuss specifics.
So,
But go ahead.
but not going too deep into it because we ain't gonna stay too long because we gotta go out there and go make their money.
Right.
As far as maybe the top three, without giving financial advice, what's the top three things that you think men should go ahead and put their money in once they get a paycheck? What's three that you would give a tip to that you should lean to? Maybe a top three that you would put in.
You gotta have emergency savings.
Emergency savings. Is
Gotta
good.
have emergency
Put their
savings.
Paycheck one a little bit into the savings.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Emergency savings, so that way, if anything was to come up, you don't gotta dip into your investments.
Okay.
Because it's short-term capital gains tax and long-term capital gains tax.
Okay.
We'll discuss that a little bit later, but that basically means when you take money out your investment, it could be taxed at a higher rate or a lower rate. So you want to try to keep any emergency money that you need to get to quickly. You want to put that in an emergency fund.
33.3 going to the savings.
Savings account. You want to definitely
Right.
put that into emergency savings. The next thing, what I would suggest, is some type of either like mutual fund, ETFs, something that's a little bit more solid. So basically, mutual fund is a bunch of shares of different companies. That are traded by like a professional. So you got Legg Mason, Invesco's. You got these mutual fund companies that can take, whether it's like $50, $100, whatever you got, they can take that money and invest it for you, and it's done by a professional person who this is all they do is just watch the market. So they'll trade certain stocks and put it in your fund.
So they do it for you.
And they do it for you. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Now they do. Now those do have some type of
all investment has
fees
risk.
or whatever,
Yeah,
of course a risk. But that's a way where you could just put your money, and then you got a professional that's taking care of that for you.
Okay.
And then, in my opinion, you want to have your aggressive. So that might be, your own individual that you're doing on your own. So you might have like your Robinhood account, Fidelity, whatever, and you might get your more higher risk stocks or your growth stocks or things like that, or growth ETFs. Something that can give you a greater rate of return. It might be a little bit more risky, but the fact that you got your safe investment with your professionally managed fund, and then you got your emergency fund. You can play around, just like kind of like your play money, maybe invest in crypto, which I'm very bullish on, and very bullish on crypto, and we'll definitely have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
But crypto, something that your money could grow at a greater rate of return than the normal or the average. It's a lot of great people out there that are giving like really good investment recommendations, or just giving you the fundamentals when it comes to like how to look for certain stocks that might have great growth potential. So learning how to check out what's the company's game plan, looking at their 1 year, 3 year, 5 year charts, how to analyze charts and things like that. Learning just those basics will really help you in regards to just starting your own little fund where you take your money and you can kind of grow that at a larger rate. But then, like I said, you still got the safety of your mutual fund, and then you still got your emergency savings as well. So you want to have the emergency savings for if you need to get some money quick. Then you got your mutual funds, ETFs, something that's a little bit more stable, bonds, things that's more stable that you're going to get a good rate of return from. And then you got your growth stuff where you could be a little bit more aggressive and maybe invest and take a little bit more risk, where you could try to grow your money as well. The other thing, before you even get to all of that stuff as well, if you're working, make sure you participate in your 401k. That's your first investment vehicle, because your company should more than likely is matching what you're putting in there up to a certain amount.
Say
So,
what?
oh yeah.
Boy, you better, hey, y'all better
Yeah, so-
y'all better tell your HR team, man.
So yeah, call your HR, look through your paperwork or whatever. Most companies, if they got 401k, they match up to a certain percentage. So you got to make sure that you're doing that first. Get your emergency savings, and then you go through the other steps. But that's a way to another way to really grow and plan for your retirement as well with the 401k plan.
One of the things that I learned when it came to investing, when I started investing, what really pushed me into it was the people I was around who were doing it, who were getting a good return from it. They said, you become the bank. So you think how the bank think. You become the bank. And that changed my mindset when it came to actually investing. So take that.
Absolutely.
Take that. Next time, won't stop. That's good.
Yes, sir.
That's good, man. I'm glad you gave some tips on this, man. I learned a lot. I like having these talks, even though they're probably not the most viewed on our channel. We see our analytics.
Yeah, y'all need to be watching.
Yeah, these are the ones that y'all need to be listening to right here, man. Talking about
taking
money.
notes, man.
Exactly. We gotta get to a point where y'all paying attention to what he's talking about here, because we can get these finances together. You ain't gotta watch the drama all the time, you guys. So make sure y'all go and put some of these tips in here. Man, we appreciate you for these tips.
Man.
I learned something today.
No problem.
I'm gonna rewatch this one and go ahead and take some more notes.
And also, what I want y'all to do in the comment section, give us some of your investment tips or things that help y'all as well, because it's a plenty of them. I just wanted to kind of start the conversation and give y'all a few of the tips that I had. But with that being said, man, we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. This is another episode of FMF Podcast. Y'all take care. Peace.
Yeah.